men and women of this great nation and other mediocre nations like England, if that's where you are listening from. Welcome to the podcast. This is CJ Unplugged. And I'd like to talk about a show I did recently, Saturday, to start this off. We have some big news this week, big weekend, right? We had the Secret Service director resign. We had Biden drop out of the race. We had Netanyahu address Congress. And perhaps the biggest story, Snoop Dogg is going to carry the torch at the Olympics. But we'll get into that later. First, I want to talk about a show I did this Saturday. It was my very first show as a comedian. And it was in front of veteran combat riders, which is as intimidating as it sounds. These are people who have seen war and ride Harley Davidsons. So, yeah. Honestly, they were the coolest people ever, though. It was just a bunch of them and their family and friends and whoever else was tricked into buying $20 tickets. But the show went well. Local comedians here in Spokane, there was 5 of us. 2 of them were out of state, and the show was put together. It was great. It was fun. Lots of people there. Drinks, food. It's like a 3-hour show. But I was intimidated. I was scared. And my first 3 minutes did okay. I think they went well. Got some hits. And then towards the end, I tried to do some war jokes, which, as you can tell, was probably not the smartest call in front of combat veterans. But I decided to take a chance because I figured if I'd cancel myself, I'd do it now. So I decided to make a joke about war and video games, and it did not hit well. It bombed. My last 2 jokes bombed horribly, and you're not going to see that video anywhere online. If you do, I'll sue you. But yeah, I think it's good to have a bomb. They always say, every comedian needs at least one bomb in their career. So it was a humbling experience, definitely a learning curve. Don't make military jokes in front of combat veterans who will eat you. Yeah, it's good to have a bomb. They always say that, ask Israel. Israel likes bombs. Bombs are good. And speaking of Israel, Netanyahu just addressed the news, or addressed a speech in front of Congress today. And kind of a big deal. Lots of protesters, angry about the war in Gaza. And it just keeps getting worse. And Netanyahu says, no, we're going to keep doing it. So this article here by CNN, I think this just happened today. Thousands of protesters rallying within sight of the Capitol building, denouncing Israel's war in Gaza and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who is delivering an address to a joint session of Congress. So yeah, there was a bunch of protesters outside there. Nothing new, really. The world is ending. And I decided to start a podcast before the nuke hits. So I don't know how long this podcast will go before Russia or China invades, and we're all speaking Chinese, but I figured we'd do it before time runs out. So this is one of many stories. I just had another show last night. I was just on an open mic. My comedy career has just started, and so is this podcast. I'm here in the studio, lovely studio. There's no backdrop currently. I'm currently working on props. I have a hat and my phone with Boba Fett. That's what we're working with. But yeah, we're here in the studio. It's nice. It's the first time here. Just starting the podcast. And decided to just discuss a few topics today. I don't know what this is going to look like, to be honest. Eventually, I'd like to have guests on, fellow comedians, friends. Honestly, anyone that comes on here. Might have a homeless person. Lots of homeless people here in Spokane. Might interview one of them. You never know. This podcast could really go anywhere. But yeah, today let's talk about Biden dropping out of the race. How about that, huh? No one saw that coming. Now, I don't know if anyone's told him yet. I don't know if he knows that, but he released a statement on Twitter. We all saw that. And he has endorsed Kamala Harris, who is younger and perhaps has more going for her. We don't know. We'll see how it goes. I don't know if she holds up against Trump. But after Trump got shot at and we all got that hard photo, it's going to be pretty tough to beat that. So the DNC, I believe, is August 8th, sometime next week in August. So that'll be coming up, and the delegates will vote. Surprise alert, I don't know if Kamala's going to get the election to be the Democratic leader, but we'll see. It's kind of just a free ball show there. They might put Bernie Sanders up again. Who's another one? Gavin Newsom. I don't know if he's going to run. It could be anybody at this point. They might just throw Obama in there again under another name, give him a mustache. It might work. Now, the real news I want to discuss is Snoop Dogg, who's going to be carrying the torch at the Olympics. Now, this might be the biggest news of the week. I have not watched any of the Olympics. I don't even know when they're going on. I know beach volleyball is fun and swimming is sort of fun. table tennis, which, by the way, I actually thought before Biden dropped out, I proposed an idea to have a presidential Olympic sport where both Biden and Trump compete in different events for the presidency. So we could have the 100-meter swim race. I don't know if that's what it's called, but they'd swim 100 meters. And then maybe the 200-meter hurdles. And then table tennis or ping pong if you're uncivilized. And then probably, what's another Summer Olympic sport? It's just the two of them. So there's not a whole lot of options. Gymnastics? Archery? We could do archery. Maybe too soon for that with Trump being shot at, but I thought that would be a great idea. I think if the two presidents, even if it's Kamala, whoever it is, Trump and the DNC elect should be going head to head in a Olympic competition for the presidency instead of a debate. Let's cancel the debate. Those are silly. We don't even want to hear them talk about useless stuff. All they do is lie. You guys remember the last debate with Biden and Trump? They both lied a million times. It was horrible. It was better than the last one. 2020 debate was pretty messy. We all know that. They've been getting messier and messier since 2012 with Mitt Romney and Obama. That was the last good debate we maybe have, depending on how you see it. But I think a Olympic competition between the two presidents would be phenomenal. And that would be a true test of physical capabilities. I think that's what this nation needs. So let's get it to happen. We'll have 4 events. As I said, swimming, hurdles, ping pong, and we'll figure out the last one. But let's get that to happen, huh? I think it'd be a great idea. As many of you know, there is a super volcano underneath Yellowstone. It spans 43 by 28 miles. And if it blows up, we're all dead. I live in Spokane, Washington. I'm within the radius of at least the ash or something. So at this point, I'm just waiting for it to blow. I think it's like it blows every 1 or 2 million years and we're past due. You never know. But if that blows, we're all dead. At least I am. And so, like I said, we're just going to start this podcast before we're all nuked and all dead because nothing matters. And another good story is the Trump assassin. More and more information is coming out about him. More pictures, more videos, more information leaked about the event that happened that day. And apparently, there were some officers that left their post to go look for the gunman right before the shooting. So I don't know where they were looking, but they left their post to go catch the bad guy. Now you couldn't make this up. I mean, this is comical, right? He's putting a ladder onto the building, climbing on top of the roof, and the officers that were guarding that roof or building or area decided to leave to go look for him. Now I don't understand how that happens. Little whoopsie daisies, perhaps. One of the big whoopsie daisies. This is all just getting very interesting. Who knows, really? But apparently, the shooter was researching stuff about the JFK assassination. They found that on his phone or his Google account or something. So he meant business. Obviously, that raises the question, was he a lone gunman? Because we all know JFK certainly was only shot by one person with a magic bullet. That's just a fact. CIA is right, and we should believe everything the government says. So there was only one gunman at the JFK thing. That's why there was only one at the Trump thing. History repeats itself. So yeah, they did research and they found that he was actually researching the JFK assassination. And I don't know if he was trying to find pieces of that to recreate or what to learn from. Story is 2 local law enforcement officers stationed in the complex of the buildings where the gunman opened fire at former President Trump left to go search for the man before the shooting. The head of the Pennsylvania State Police said Tuesday, raising questions about whether a key post was left unattended as the shooter climbed onto a roof. This is literally the saying, what is it, right below your nose, except for it's right above their big noses. They left the area to go look for the person who was actively climbing on top of the roof. This just does not make any sense to me. I do not know what to make of this. I don't think any of us will know until another 30 years. I will not be alive, probably. Maybe it'll be 60 years. It's going to be the same JFK thing again, where the CIA was in on it and something crazy happened, and we'll never know. But this is getting crazier and crazier by the day. Pennsylvania State Police Colonel Christopher Paris told a congressional committee that 2 Butler County Emergency Services Unit officers were stationed on a second-floor window in the complex buildings from AGR International Incorporated. They spotted Thomas Matthew Crooks acting suspiciously on the ground and left their post to look for him along with law enforcement officers, he said. Interesting. So if they saw him being suspicious on the ground, how did they not just catch him? This is all making very much sense to me. I'm sure you guys are all tracking as well. This story just gets more and more exciting. This is just something we'll never know. Another fun story we have to cover because it is so interesting is a woman was caught stealing nearly $109 million from the army to buy mansions, jewelry, and cars. Was sentenced to prison. Now, if this isn't the most American thing in 2024 due to inflation and this economy, I don't know what is. And quite honestly, props to her. That is a smart woman. Personally, I would have stopped after, I think 50 million is a good number. See, greed is a really bad thing. Do you remember that one guy that was caught stealing? He was another person in another country and he billed like Windows, and I guess Windows is Microsoft, Apple and Google small bills in like hundreds and thousands of dollars. And eventually over years, he racked up over $100 million by sending fake bills to a company that they just paid. Because when your life is miserable and you make $40,000 a year living in your horrible apartment and you work at a desk, you just sign papers. Okay, when someone named Jed sends a bill to you for $10,000 for water and heating, you just sign off on it and you pay the money. And that's what happens because you make $40,000 a year and you work at a desk. So that man, this was like 6 years ago, was caught and sentenced to jail. Now that's where greed is bad. Okay, you stop at 50 million. Okay, personally, I might stop at 10 million. Okay, the more you go, it's kind of like gambling. It's like an addiction. You just think you can win more and more. Just stop after 10. Just stop after a good 50. I mean, that's going to buy you. What kind of jewelry was this woman buying? Let's look at this story. A woman has been sentenced to 15 years in federal prison for stealing more than $100 million from a grant program meant to support military children and families, authorities said. Now that's sad. Personally, I have friends in the military who get paid, I think, 50 cents an hour and hate their lives. So the fact that that money could have gone towards them to have nicer lives, they live in a barracks with stinky roommates and have to mop floors, and that is their job in the military. You think they're out there shooting bad guys. I'll tell you what, folks, they are sweeping and mopping floors. This is the truth. And this woman stole $100 million from them to buy cars, jewelry, and mansions. And our poor men and women in the service are being paid 50 cents by the hour. So, her name is Janet Yamanaka. Janet Yamanaka Mello, age 57, was convicted on 5 accounts of mail fraud in addition to 5 counts of filing a false tax return for the convoluted scheme, which she carried over the course of 6 years. 6 years, folks. I'm telling you, after the 10 million, give up. 6 years this went on. How greedy do you have to be? While employed at the United States Army, so she worked for the Army, according to the U.S. Attorney's Office of the Western District of Texas. Mello worked as a financial manager for the Army Morale, Welfare, and Recreation Program at Fort Sam Houston and San Antonio, specifically focusing on child and youth services, the U.S. Attorney said. That has to be the most American thing, like I said. Times are getting tough. I always recommend doing tax fraud. That's a joke. But there's a lot easier ways to scheme people out of money than stealing $100 million from the Army. Plus, the Army needs that money. I mean, we're sending all of our money to Ukraine. We don't have any left for ourselves, so we don't have any money to buy bullets. And we are giving this woman $100 million that would have gone to families and children. So if you're in the Army, if you're in the military, and your children are not doing well, you can blame this woman. She's probably behind that. This is actually insane. She formed a business in December 2016 called Child Health and Youth Lifelong Development that was essentially used as a front for the scam. Collecting and funding through military grant initiatives was the business's sole purpose, and Mello was able to fraudulently collect millions through it because of her position in the Army. This also sounds like a DEI issue. Now, this happened, 2016 she started, so this was pre-DEI. This was actually during Trump. So Trump missed this one. Yeah, this is kind of a big deal. Huh? When did this happen? This article came out today. So I'm sure it's been in the court system, whatever's going on. Mello allegedly used grant money to buy lavish properties and 82 vehicles. 82 vehicles, folks. Including a Maserati, a Mercedes, she got good taste, and a 1954 Corvette and a Ferrari motorcycle. and in one instance used the funds to purchase $923,000 of jewelry in a single day in 2022. Yeah, that was a good Christmas, huh? Good Christmas for Miss Mello. Well, at least she had a good taste in cars, right? I mean, she could have been buying a Denny's or something horrible. She could have had a change of heart and gave the rest to Ukraine. But instead, she decided to buy Mercedes, Maseratis, and jewelry. Now, I want to know what $923,000 in jewelry gets you in a single day. And I don't know how the IRS didn't see that as a red flag. This happened 2 years ago. I'm going to guess on Christmas. In 49 individual instances of fraud over the 6-year period where her business was in operation, authorities said that Mello requested $117 million in grant payments during that period and received close to $109 million. To cover up the scam, I guess here's the genius. You guys ready? She also falsely reported her income for the last tax years, 2017, 19, 20, 21, and 22. Told you, tax fraud. That's where it's at. That's how you hide it, and they'll never catch you. This lady did this for 8 years? 8 years it was finally caught. Now, folks, if you're going to run a scam like this, I've already said this 3 times, just quit after 10. Get a nice 10 million, maybe do it for a year, few months. Get the most out of your time and then settle on a beach in Hawaii or the Philippines. I don't know. So as many of you know, there was a giant tech outage this weekend. We had a really busy weekend this weekend. I wish I started this podcast sooner, but here we are. The tech outage that caused thousands and thousands of flights to be canceled internationally around the world. And also, I think some grocery stores had some issues. Just anything that had this software. I believe it was a Microsoft issue. Anyways, the story is, thousands and thousands and thousands of flights were delayed, which means probably hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of unhappy customers that couldn't fly home, including my friend, which ended up being a blessing. Stayed here for 2 days longer. But 3 of the customers, Nicole, Tiffany, and Melissa, were stranded at Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport on Monday, surrounded by bags and lines of weary travelers with no clear way to get home. Now, folks, this sounds like a rich person issue. You flew here in your first class. You spent $1,000 on your ticket, sipping your margarita. And now you're stuck in an airport. And I think that's karma. I think perhaps half of these people deserved it. Although half can't afford first class. So it was probably, let's be honest, a 10th, maybe a 50th. Whoever flew first class probably deserved it. And they needed to experience something hard in their life for once. Because someone who's this rich, their hardest experience in their life is missing a flight. And they will be grumpy, and they will yell at you and the other workers. And they'll probably spit at you, throw a drink on you, and it just happens. But for people like me who can hardly afford a plane ticket, I would just take a nap in the airport. I'd be fine. I'd probably actually leave the airport since my flight, I assume, would be delayed for multiple days. And I would just live somewhere else at that point. I would start a new life, maybe get married and have a family in Haiti, wherever I was dropped off. And I'd venture the world. I'm a positive person. If I got stuck in an airport, I would just start a new life there. So you have to see things like this for the good. You can't always be negative. But these people are rich, and they fly first class, and they sip on their martinis in there, and they talk about stocks and investments and other rich people things that I don't understand because I'm not rich. But these people probably deserve something hard like this, and this is where you just need to be positive. And like I said, wherever you got stuck in that airport, I guarantee you were stuck there for days. Just start a new life. Change your identity, shred your credit cards, buy new clothes, go out there and just live with a family, experience life for a little bit, delete your socials. Like here we are, fresh off their vacation in Athens, Greece. The trio has been trying to get back. This is the same 3 people, by the way. Trying to get back to Arizona for 2 days. 2 days! Goodness gracious, how do they survive? So far, all they have is a stack of canceled flight tickets. Well, you can start a fire with those, or you can eat them if you're desperate enough. But at least they give you little Biscoff cookies and 8-ounce coffees. You could live off those. The least they could do is give you free food. Like little salty crackers that just make your mouth dry. Can you imagine eating that for 2 days? Now, for some people, that would be a blessing. Denlinger has an electronic tracker in her luggage and said it's bounced from concourse to concourse at the Atlanta airport. But because she can't access her suitcase, she hasn't been able to use her laptop to do the stock trading. She can't day trade. She said, guys, I have thousands of dollars to make here. You seen NVIDIA? It's going up. I have to trade. She's on her phone. She's on Robinhood now because she can't access her laptop. She's on Robinhood day trading NVIDIA because she can't get to her laptop. While Delta says it plans to cover hotel, meal, or ground transportation for affected customers, the airline's policy says it does not compensate passengers for lost income due to canceled flights. So she's not getting her NVIDIA stock back. She put it in right before the crash. She put in $100,000 instead of paying for her kid's college. She took a risk, and Delta is not responsible for that loss. Now, if it went up, Delta is responsible, and they're going to take a cut, but that's just how it works. The other two passengers managed to find an extended care for their dog. Of course, there's a dog. Rich people can fly with dogs. I can't fly with a dog. Back in Tucson, only to have their air conditioning go out. How worse can it get? The air conditioning is out. Tucson is very hot, but Tucson is expected to hit a high of 104 degrees Monday. That is not that bad. I live in Spokane. It just hit 110. 104 in Tucson. Is this really a story? What is it right now? 94 degrees? Is 104 really that much more? This is too interesting. Now the couple is scrambling to find care for their dog somewhere out of the extreme heat. This story is actually really fun. We're going to keep going. Their last names are too hard to pronounce. I'm going to say passenger number 3. Passenger number 3 said she believes the airline was not prepared for the situation and were just kind of the guinea pigs to something truly catastrophic. This is what I'm telling you, folks. These rich people have not experienced anything hard in their life. The hardest things they experience is an Uber being $10 more than they'd like, that their Bugatti was put on delay for their order, their housemaid quit, their $300,000 car didn't start, their kid got a A- instead of an A, their air conditioning went out, and this catastrophic event, they're guinea pigs. Guinea pigs. Many stranded passengers are feeling the strain from days without access to their usual resources. Usual resources such as their phones, their laptops, their McDonald's, their massage chair. This is truly just not that big of a problem. Like, think about I can look to my right and there's somebody homeless down there. Do you think he cares about the airlines right now? What's going on? He doesn't even know. Passenger number 2, a North Carolina resident, told CNN on Monday she was running out of her prescription medicines after being stuck in Minneapolis-St. Paul International Airport for the past 3 days. So she's literally going crazy. The voices in her head are coming back. Now, it doesn't say what disease she had, but it's probably schizophrenia. What's the most common rich person mental illness? Narcissism? She didn't take her narcissism pills, and she's going crazy. She's going to start talking about her kids are in Harvard, and one time she won an award in high school because she peaked in high school. All these people peaked in high school. I prepared for an extra day with my medications, but then I quickly saw that there's a possibility that I was going to be here a few days, so I've been rationing out my medicines. Actually, I don't have any for today, so I'm hoping that we can find some luck today. As she's itching her skin, I don't have any medication. Now, I want to know what this medication is because I could be making fun of somebody with a really bad disease, and I would feel terrible. But it's better to not know and make comedy out of it. So I'm going to continue to make fun of this rich person flying first class, having the worst day of her life because her air conditioning is out, her dog is going to die in the heat, and she's lost her medication. It's probably just Advil. She told CNN that she was flying home on Delta after a trip to Alaska. Maybe this is a different passenger. When the outage hit and she was running on little sleep. Oh, little sleep. Gosh. How horrible is that, little sleep? Because the rest of us get 8 hours, right? This poor woman got 3. After waiting for hours in lines or flights over the weekend. Regardless, she praised Delta's employees, calling them angels, and said she had a flight home booked for later Monday. Now, this is actually sweet because I've seen multiple videos of people screaming at these employees. I was at the airport when I went to Texas. I went to Texas last month. This was before the outages. And in the Seattle International Airport, if that's what it's called, our flight got delayed 4 times for 5 hours. And luckily, I had work that morning at 5 a.m. So if anybody had a reason to be mad, it was me. But I did not. I put my AirPods in, ate some McDonald's that was extremely overpriced, and sat down and took a nap. Now, I was waiting. We got moved around to like 5 different gates. And this man walks up to the flight attendant at the desk and starts yelling at her. And I peek over. What's going on over here? And he's yelling at her, and here comes his wife. Now, this guy was not a very attractive man. Looked like he was in his 30s. And his wife or his girlfriend, God hope it be his sister, was a very attractive person, and she was very embarrassed. She sat down probably 2 aisles away from him, faced the other way, and put her head down. And I got up, and I was about to walk over there. I don't know what I would have done. I was bigger than him, But I did not like how he was treating these employees. And quite frankly, you guys need to understand, as bad as this is, it is not their fault, okay? This is Jeff Bezos. This is Bezos' fault. He messed up somewhere. Or the president of Microsoft. Who is that? Bill Gates? This is Bill Gates' fault, okay? He accidentally put a vaccine into the computer, and it crashed the entire thing. So his fake food, the computer ate his fake food, whatever he's doing, and it crashed the whole system. So this is not the employee's fault. This is Jeff Bezos and Bill Gates' fault. So back to the story. He started getting very angry and yelling at these attendants, and they actually took his passes and kicked him out. Rightfully so. They made the right move. They had to get security. There was like 5 of them. And he yelled and made a very big scene. It was very embarrassing, and his poor wife or girlfriend just left him. And I would have done the same thing. I hope they broke up after that. I hope it was just his sister. I don't know how she was with him. Maybe he's got money. Maybe he was flying first class. Who knows? Sorry to get sidetracked, but I think that story plays into this position. Please treat your flight attendants and people at the desks very nicely, because it's not their fault. Okay, unless they're out of Biscoff cookies, I give you permission to get a little angrier, because that is probably their fault. The largest IT outage in history, prompted by a software update for Microsoft devices. Told you, Bill Gates. He tried putting a vaccine in there. And into the early hours of Friday, impacted an estimated 8.5 million Windows devices worldwide, causing disaster at airports and outages for 911 services and challenges at healthcare facilities. See, is missing your flight really that big of a deal? Somebody tried calling 911 because their child just swallowed an egg, and they can't get the help they need. And yet we're worried about flights. These first-class people, they couldn't get a ride to the Bahamas. Okay, they couldn't fly out of Cuba. They could not make their trip back home from their vacation in Mexico. And that is a disaster. Meanwhile, Grandpa's plugged into the machine, and he went out. Bye, Grandpa. You know how many people probably lost their grandpa? It says healthcare facilities. You can only imagine. Now, if your grandpa's hooked up to a Microsoft Windows thing, your grandpa might be AI, first of all. Your grandpa might no longer be a human being. If that caused any deaths, at that point, they're just a robot. I don't know if that's something to be sad about. Maybe we should change that. While the CrowdStrike problem affected computers meant to check customers in for many airlines, it also disrupted Delta's crucial crew scheduling software. So is this just an issue for Delta? Just don't fly Delta. I fly Southwest. I'm broke. Flights are half the price. Seats are extremely uncomfortable. You guys ever been to one of those movie theaters where the seats are just awful? Or like a 2002 Honda back seat. They when the Hondas went out of line, they went to the junkyard and they took all the seats out of the Hondas, the back seats. Not the front seats. They took the back seats out of the Hondas and they put them in movie theaters and Southwest Airlines. That's how they got their seats. They're extremely uncomfortable, but they're cheap. Okay, you can fly, right now I think you can fly to Vegas in September for a round trip $90. Now you're going to get back problems and maybe a hemorrhoid. But for $94, you can gamble and probably win a lot of money off blackjack. And it'll be fun. It'll be worth the back pain. What did I fly? I flew in United? Maybe I flew Delta to Texas last month, and I got a bad plane. Those seats were not that great either. But I'm poor. I deserve it. I'm poor. In particular, one of our crew tracking related tools was affected and unable to effectively process the unprecedented number of charges triggered by the system's shutdown, Bastian said in a statement. It didn't help that the outage took place what Bastian described as the busiest travel weekend of the summer, with 90% of the airline's flights booked. Here's what we know about the outage and its continued effects. And there's a picture here of somebody sleeping, as he should. This is what you guys should always be doing. I'll put it up on the screen. This is what everybody should be doing. We need to not yell at the flight attendants, okay? Go eat your McDonald's, put in your headphones, listen to Taylor Swift, and take a nap. So CrowdStrike is the update. I think that's run by Microsoft. This was the outage issue. The company said the outage was not caused by a security incident or cyber attack. Right. But rather a software defect. The issue was identified and isolated, and engineers deployed an update to fix the problem, the CEO said. Kurtz has apologized to customers and said the company is deeply sorry for the inconvenience and disruption. He doesn't care. Okay, he's the CEO of this company. He's making millions of dollars. He lives in a mansion, has a yacht. At the end of the day, he's not going to have to resign or do anything about this because it's not his fault. It's Bill Gates. Bill Gates! Okay, it's Bill Gates. He's the problem. Get mad at Bill Gates. Overall cost from the outage could top $1 billion. Maybe he is going to have to pay. I take that back. He might lose his job, the CEO said. So $1 billion. Well, if we didn't send $2 billion to Ukraine, this problem could be solved. We could take that 1 billion and we could fix this entire situation, because this is our most important issue right now. I don't know if you guys know this, but this is our number one issue. On Sunday, more than 1,800 U.S. flights were canceled and more than 9,900 delayed, according to FlightWare. Major hotels, including Marriott, International, and some Hiltons. No Four Seasons? Four Seasons. Were impacted both with regard to payment processing and delays of check-in processes. So this affected everybody, as I said. I saw it also affected, I think, grocery stores, as it said, 911 operators and healthcare facilities. So this is not just the flights. But of course, the biggest news is the flights, right? Because the rich people have to go somewhere. It is in July, so people were traveling to and from vacations. It's the most important. It's the biggest thing in their life right now is just going on vacation. Delta paused all of its flights Friday morning while its systems were offline, and more than 3,500 Delta and Delta Connection flights were canceled through Saturday, according to the airline. More than 1,200 Delta flights were canceled on Sunday after the carrier canceled 1,200 flights on Saturday. Now that sounded very repetitive. Sometimes these articles, I don't know who writes these, but some of this could just be left out. We don't need to know the numbers. Delta said it would not be allowing unaccompanied minors to travel until July 24th due to the outage. I don't think unaccompanied minors should be traveling anyways. The first time I flew, I was 13 years old by myself. I went down to San Diego. Now, before you get mad, yes, I'm poor. My grandparents are not. They paid for it. Okay. And I flew by myself. I got on the Alaska Airlines. Alaska sucks. And the plane did not take off because it would not start. I was 13 years old. It was 6 a.m. My parents were not there. I was by myself. And I started to panic. I cried in the airport. I'll be honest. I cried in the airport. And I had to wait hours for my mother to come back and schedule me with another flight with Delta. Delta's great. They messed up my flight too, though. That whole trip was a disaster until I got to San Diego. And then I was, laying at the infinity pool, 80 degrees out. Pretty nice. It was in February. It's the richest thing I've ever done, probably, to be honest. I'm ashamed of it. Okay, I'm ashamed of it. But that was 8 years ago, so I'm a different person now. I have not been to San Diego since. Experts are urging travelers who have been forced to cancel trips to look into refund options. New federal rules say travelers deserve cash refunds when inconvenienced by their airline, not vouchers or travel cards. Now, I agree with this. See, if you just got done with your vacation in Cancun, you spent an entire week there sipping your margaritas on the beach, riding horses and trying to learn Spanish, and you're flying on your way back to the United States, and you get a layover in Phoenix, and then you're stuck there for 4 days. I don't want a voucher. I don't want a gift card. I'm not going to fly again for another 5 years. I'm traumatized. The worst thing that's ever happened to me. I want cash now. I want money. Don't give me a gift card or a voucher. What am I going to do? Fly back to Cancun? I can't. I have to work. You know how hard it was to get that week off work? I had to get Janet to cover that entire shift. I can't do that again. I don't need another flight ticket. I need money. Money. For some reason, Pete Buttigieg, how do you say his name? Buttigieg. I don't know how to say his name. Pete Buttigieg. Pete Buttgreg. Pete Buttgreg. I think it's Buttigieg. Buttigieg. I can't pronounce his name, but Buttigieg spoke with Delta's Bastion on Sunday afternoon as the air carrier continues. Now, what is Pete Buttigieg doing? Is this the same person from New York, the gay governor or something that ran for president 8 years ago? I don't know. But he spoke with Delta's Bastion on Sunday afternoon with the air carrier continues to struggle with a high number of flight cancellations, according to the department. Now, my friends who are in the military actually just came home a couple weeks ago, and they experienced this outage. And that was a blessing for them, right? Because they told the Army they'd be gone for 14 days. They were gone for 17 days. And they can't get in trouble. What's he going to do? Walk back to Colorado? So he had to stay another 2 days. It was a blessing. We hung out. It was actually very nice. And he had to work 2 less days for the military, which, as I said, isn't a great job. They don't pay you anything. And you mainly just sweep and mop floors. But join. We need you guys. Seriously, there's a shortage. I think the bonuses are like 10 grand right now. So take advantage of that. If you don't know what you're doing with your life, either become a comedian or join the Army. I have made clear to Delta that we expect the airline to provide prompt refunds to consumers who choose to not be rebooked. And the free rebooking and timely reimbursements for food and overnight hotel stays to consumers affected by the delays and cancellations, as well as adequate customer service assistance to all of their passengers. That is the longest run-on sentence I've ever read in my life. There's not one period in that. Other airlines largely got back on track over the weekend, including one of the world's largest operations, Turkish Airlines, which said Saturday, the global technical issue has been resolved. All of our operations have returned to normal. And I don't know if I believe that. Turkish Airlines sounds like one of the planes that would go down. Like when you hear in the news, like every 1 in 5 years, 200 people killed. I think that'd probably be Turkish Airlines. I'm not sure, but... Let's listen to that response again. The global technical issue has been resolved. All of our operations have returned to normal. I don't know who had a gun to their head when they said that, but I don't think you're convincing me. The same day, these names are so hard. The same day, I think maybe these are airline names, but they're other countries. Okay, the same day, Jetstar Japan, Hong Kong Express, and Cebu Pacific Airlines said their operations are gradually being restored after disruptions due to the global tech outage. Now, we talked a lot about this story. I mainly just wanted to make fun of rich people flying first class and driving expensive cars because that is not me. And it is really funny to hear these people's frustrations on this being the hardest thing in their life is experiencing flight delays. So if a flight delay is the biggest issue in your life, congratulations. I would love to be you. My biggest issues are not flight delays. I wish it was. I wish that was my biggest issue. My biggest issue is paying rent and hiding from the IRS. So I would love to have your issues. Can we trade? We finally know what caused the global tech outage and how much it cost. So what caused it? Bill Gates' vaccine? What's been described as the largest IT outage in history will cost Fortune 500 companies more than $5 billion in direct losses. So that's a lot more than $1 billion. I think we're starting to realize now maybe we shouldn't be sending so much money to Ukraine. We have issues here at home. We have IT outages. That's our biggest issue. I will be starting to film some skits on my TikTok and YouTube, so make sure to check those out. Follow me on Instagram at cadenkaiserman. Come check me out at the Spokane Comedy Club. I will be posting any sort of shows and events I have going on in the future on my Instagram. You can check out all the information in the bottom in the description where all those links will be at. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed, please share, and we will see you on the next show.